host, Sinder Miller, and my guest here is the most beautiful Miss Karen Stampley. Good morning, Miss Karen.
Good morning, Cinder.
Good morning. It's so awesome to be back with you guys again this week. I wasn't here last week. My partner, not in crime, but my wonderful partner, Matt Peel, was here with the fitness edition of the second half, and it was an awesome show. We thank you, Matt. He's great, and he will be sharing with us the second half, the fitness edition, every first Thursday. So again, we thank you, Matt, for last week. We have some awesome things coming up as it relates to fitness for boomers and beyond, and Matt will be sharing that with you in future weeks to come. And I would just like to do a couple of shout outs this morning before we move forward in our show to my coach. She's been missing in action for a while, Dr. Yolanda Griffin. We miss you, Dr. G, and we just can't wait for you to come back again. We love you so much. And also, I see that we have on the screen First Ladies, Bling Bling and Accessories. You'll see that I'm blinged out today. My good friend, Tamika Falls, who I love so much, have me all blinged out. Tamika is the owner of First Lady Salon in New Orleans, a wonderful stylist, as well as she has an accessory line. Her T-shirts, if you want T-shirts made, if you want to purchase T-shirts, call Tamika 520-0077, and she can customize. She will customize T-shirts for you. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for my T-shirt, Tamika. I love you. Lastly, before we start talking to Karen, the month of October, breast cancer awareness. We have some awesome activities that will be taking place at the New Orleans Talk Network, as well as Boomers Lifestyle. We will be sponsoring Warrior Angels. The breast cancer awareness stats is that breast cancer is the second leading cause of death in women. 1 in 37 women will die of breast cancer. That's 2.7%. And that is, that's why in October we set that month aside to really put a focus and shine a light on breast cancer awareness. And so to those who we have lost and to those who remain the survivors, we just want to honor you in the month of October. And we have some very, very special activities that we will be sharing with you in upcoming weeks about the things and the activities that will be taking place. Boomers Lifestyle will also participate in the Sinder Coleman run Race for the Cure, and we will be celebrating and highlighting Pastor Fran Love from the City of Love, who is a breast cancer survivor, and she is our hero along with so many others. So look forward to that. We're excited about what's coming forth. Miss Karen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm
You're
happy to
awesome.
be here.
You're
Yes.
awesome. You're
Thank
beautiful.
you for having me.
You're beautiful. Thank you. I met you a couple of months ago, I think. You were introduced to me, and your program was introduced to me, the E.Y.E.A.M program.
Yes.
And I'm just very excited to have there. She's on the screen. I think we're going to put her on the screen. And I'm just really excited to talk to you today about an illness that we don't always address or acknowledge as an illness, which is depression and the issues that we deal with in our minds. Tell me about your credentials. Tell me about how you became involved in dealing with issues of depression.
Well, first, Cinder, I suffered with depression. That's how it all began. Many years ago, I was depressed, but I didn't know it was depressed.
Okay.
And back then, it was so taboo. It wasn't discussed. All I knew is I had a heaviness and a sadness, and I didn't know how to get help.
Okay.
And so I thank God for people who were around me that taught me something. And this is how my program was developed. I had to walk it out initially, and it was the 5 steps of faith.
Wow.
I was a Christian. I was saved. I didn't understand what was going on. I thought I had faith.
Yes.
I believed.
Yes.
But believing is just not enough.
No.
You have to take it. There are 5
Action.
steps to it.
Yes.
Right, just like Joyce Meyer always said, you can believe, you can sit in a garage, it doesn't make you a car.
Right.
You know, and so you have to walk it out. And so I began to do that. I started learning that about my mind. And so, you know, I furthered it. Once God delivered and healed me, I was intrigued by it because I saw so many other people and they were ashamed by it. When I realized what it was, and I called it what it was. I mean,
Yes.
that's the
Oh,
first step
yeah.
to healing and
Call it by
delivering.
its name.
Right, is
Yes,
to
ma'am.
acknowledge what it is. And
Yes.
so once I really realized what it was, and then I called it that, and I started researching and studying, I decided, I knew this is what God called me to.
Awesome. You said a couple of things there. First of all,
Sure.
Joyce Meyer, my favorite book is The Battlefield of the Mind. That's Joyce
Yes.
Meyer. I've been reading that since my 20s.
Yes,
So
I have
powerful. And in the book, she talks about how we, first of all, we must call it by its name,
Yes.
recognize that it exists, but then we
Yes.
must train our minds.
That's
That we
right.
can't allow our mind. We have some control
Yes, we do.
over this illness, over what we're now calling an illness that as in the past been as what you just mentioned the word taboo.
Yes.
But acknowledge that we have it, Joyce says, but then ways of training our minds and training our thoughts. Our thoughts are things, and our thoughts as well as our words, when they go out, they accomplish
That's right.
certain things. And I love that, what you just said about that. Let's talk about, before we go to break, let's just talk briefly about those 5 points that you just
Yes.
mentioned.
Those 5 points, a lot of people think believing is enough. You have to go past that. So God gave it to me and he walked me through it. And so this is what our program is based on. You have to first believe that God is who he said he is and he
Yes.
could do what he said he's going to
Yes.
do. The next step is to perceive. If you can't see it, you can't have it.
Oh, my.
You have to paint the picture on the canvas of your imagination, whatever you're desiring.
Yes.
The next thing is to conceive. You know, you have to get a plan and then work that plan. So you have to get a plan of action. The next one is achieve. This is when you put feet to your faith. This is when you walk it out. This is when you determine that you will never give up, cave in, or quit
Yes.
until you see the manifestation of whatever you're believing. And the last one is to receive. And God showed me sometimes that's the hardest one for us to accept because we have preconceived notions on how we feel that God is going to do it or how it should be done. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And so we have to accept the way God do it because he knows best. You know, he knows everything and he knows us better than we know ourselves.
My goodness.
And so I had to walk out those steps.
My goodness.
And once I walked it out, I didn't realize then he was designing a program in me. I didn't realize he would
Yes.
call me to encourage other people, but I knew he gave me a heart for people. And that's why I pursued the studies at Therapon. I'm a licensed belief therapist, a certified belief therapist. I'm a minister of the gospel. And most of all, I am a living witness that you can be not only healed, but made whole from depression.
From depression.
Whole means nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing wanted, nothing needed.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a living witness.
You said a lot. I
Yes.
feel like I'm in church. How awesome, how wonderful. I
Amen.
love that defeating, the first point that you made, defeating the enemy from within. There is an enemy down on the inside. And I love what you said. And now let me ask you this, because I know that you're a minister of the gospel, you're a minister of the word, and that's implemented. It's very clear, you know, through. It's not about church, but with you, it's more about ministry. We've had that conversation
we have.
over and over again. Your goals are to use your gift, talents, and skills
Yes.
and experience to minister to the kingdom and to move it forward.
Yes.
The mind, how important is it? Going back to what we said about Joyce Meyer, what Joyce Meyer alluded to, how important is it that we take the power that is on the inside of us and control our minds, recognizing that our thoughts are things and that we can't allow our minds to, in every situation, and we're all going to have situations that are so devastating, you know,
Yes.
especially as boomers and beyond. You know, I say this every week, our communities are shrinking. You can't appreciate that until you become 50 plus, and those,
That's right.
this, you know, 2 and 3 passings a year, and you're losing your parents, and you're losing your siblings. This, and I know firsthand, will bring on the spirit of, and it is also a spirit. Do you
Yes,
agree?
it is. It is
It will bring
definitely.
on the spirit of depression. Karen, how important is it that we recognize and begin to control it as soon as we recognize? We also, let me say, allude to this. We want to say that we're not doing throughout this show, we're not saying that you shouldn't have a medical doctor.
That's
Or
right.
you should not seek other counseling.
Right.
But we're saying that there are other methods that can partner with that.
Right.
Am I right?
Oh,
Am I
you're
on point?
definitely
How
right.
important is it that we recognize and get on top of our thoughts being things at the beginning of our process?
It is detrimental. It is detrimental to having good mental health. Let me tell you why. I always say we are in a war. We have an enemy. The battlefield is our mind, and the battle is won or lost first in our mind. Now, when people say an enemy, the first thing they think of is Satan. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
Yes.
I was my own worst enemy. And so I had to learn how to renew my mind. Taming and renewing your mind is a lifestyle. It is not a one-time event. And see, people will think, okay, well, I did it this time or I did it for a week. But it has to be ongoing if you want to live a life of
lifestyle.
victory. And you know, that does not mean that you're not going to have trials and tribulations, because we all have trials and tribulations, but it is going to teach you how to go through the process. Life is a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. And so
Yes.
you want to learn how to live the best life
Wow.
that you possibly can. And I like the saying that say, you know, our mind is our garden, our thoughts and our words are our seeds, and our harvest can be either flowers or weeds. You have what you say. And what I've learned, Cinder, it is not always what someone else say or think about you that is harmful to you, that is detrimental to you. It's what you say or
About
think
yourself.
about yourself.
Oh, my goodness.
And
Oh,
that's
my
why the
goodness.
battlefield starts. It's either won or lost in your mind
Your mind
first.
First. Awesome. I posted a prayer that was in my spirit this morning to social media, and it alludes to what you just said. When speaking of the enemy, so many times we give him so much more credit. He doesn't really have to do a whole lot of work. He just sits back and let us blame him for all the things that we allow
Yes, he does.
that we allow to happen. However, what was in my spirit this morning, Karen, when I prayed, was that that the enemy, first of all, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind.
That's right.
And the enemy is not so much concerned about my now. My now is established. But what is happening is that he is planting seeds to deter my future,
Yes.
because he knows that God has promised me
Yes.
a positive end. But if we're so concerned about what's going on now, but he's so far ahead of us. He's working on our future.
Yes.
And so when we do not acknowledge that we have depression and seek help and begin to, you said something very good. I never thought about that. Implement planning to make sure that our mental health is good. Then that allows him an opportunity to plant seeds in our life now
Yes.
that will manifest later. What do you
Yes.
think about that?
You know, not only that, he's not only after us, he's after our seed. Let
yes.
me tell you, you know, from a child, a lot of times, you know, educators, we have to be careful. Parents, we have to be careful.
Yes.
I was affected years ago.
Generational.
Listen, I'm 5'10", flat foot. And so way back when I was younger, they didn't have clothes for people that were 5'10". They barely made shoes for people that were 5'10". And then in school, in elementary school, they always lined us up what? According to height.
to your height.
So I thought it was a
Oh,
curse
my
because I was
goodness.
always last. You see, you don't realize little things like that affected people. So I used to hate my height.
Yes.
And so I would be so sad about my height because it was a punishment. I was always last to get to the playground, last for lunch. So we have to realize how little things can affect us. And that's why we have to deal with our minds. Just because a thought, the power of suggestion, this is how we are attacked. This is how things come to us. You know, it's like if a mailman come and deliver us something COD and it's not for us, we don't have to take it. Just because he brought it to our door don't mean I
Yes.
have to accept it. Just because a thought come, You don't have to meditate on it. When I suffered with depression, I thought it was the hand I was dealt with. I had loving relatives, people who meant well, and they're like, babe, it's just the hand you dealt with. They didn't know it was depression.
Wow. Yes.
But I understood now because God walked me through it. It is not, I can do something about it. Just like I have control over what I put in my mouth, I have control over what I meditate on. I might not have control that you brought it to me, but I have control over my eye gate, what I watch,
Yes.
my ear
Your
gate,
ear
what I
gate.
listen
Oh,
to,
my mind.
you know, my mind,
Yes.
what I allow to come in. I always say garbage in, garbage out.
Oh my gosh. This is so good. This is so good that we've gone past break time. We're getting ready to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the generational. We're going to speak on I.E.A.M, but we're going to go and delve into the generational curses that deals with our minds, okay? We're getting ready to go to break. We'll be back in a moment at the second half with Karen Stampley.
Hi, I'm Matt Peel from Movement Academy. Did you know that according to the Center for Disease and Control, nearly 1/3 of Louisiana residents over the age of 50 are classified as obese and have had no leisure time physical activity in the past month? Additionally, 47% of people over the age of 55 have experienced increased confusion or memory loss that interferes with social interaction or household chores. These statistics are strongly related, but there is a brighter side to this gloomy outlook. New studies are out that confirm physical exercise can improve cognitive functioning and slow down the onset of dementia. Movement Academy has developed an online exercise program that can help you with weight management, prevent injuries from losing your balance, and teach complex movements to improve your cognitive functioning. Whether in the privacy of your own home or in a group with friends, Movement Academy can improve the quality of your life for only a few cents a day. Go to www.movementacademy.net and sign up for your brighter side of life right now.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Save the date. The 2017 Boomers Family Expo and Health Fair promises to deliver. There will be food, boomer fun, and vendors galore, and an entertainment stage that will rock with your favorites from the 60s and 70s. Come one, come all. Boomers, bring your seniors and your grads to the 2017 Boomers Family Expo, Saturday, October 28th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Millard Park Center in Gretna. For more information, visit 2017boomersfamilyexpo.com. This is Cinder, and we are back at the second half with Mrs. Karen Stampley. And we just want to take this moment to ask you to invite your friends to post and to share this conversation. It is so valuable. It is so necessary. And we hope that all of those who are listening will be blessed, empowered by the conversation on today. Prior to going to break, Karen, we were talking about the battlefield of the mind. And we also, at the end of that session, we were talking about the generational effect of depression, knowing that nothing happens by chance, that there are certain spirits and certain illnesses that are assigned to generations of families. The Bible speaks of that. It speaks of 7 generations.
Yes.
And depression being one. I personally have recognized that in my family. You know, you see certain, I think I've known about 4 generations, maybe 5 in my family. And there's certain seeds, certain traits that have dwindled down through the generations.
Yes.
Now, as a boomer, I began to look and assess, you know, behaviors and things that have taken place in my family, and had to acknowledge that it's the spirit of depression. How about you? What do you think about that?
Oh, it's definitely a spirit of depression, Cinda. I've seen it on countless people. I've had it in my family, and sometimes it's triggered by different things. Like, you know, I've had a spirit of a fear of failure. And so I've
Yes.
seen my dad, you know, retired early from the post office, brilliant man, but because they were going to computers. And so he figured talked to himself and said he could never learn computers. So he retired early. My mother worked for Sears. She's a brilliant woman. The same thing, they were going to computers. And so she said, I could never learn that. I could never learn. She convinced herself, so she retired early.
Wow.
I suffered with the same thing. So a lot of my depression stemmed from that. Sometimes it's learned behavior. Sometimes it's things that's spoken into your
Right.
life. You'll never amount to
Oh,
nothing.
wow.
Your daddy was no good. This person was no good. I was at an empowerment seminar, and this young lady gave a testimony. She was the 3rd generation. She said her grandmother taught her mother and all the daughters that the best way to get money, the easiest way for a woman to get money is on her back.
Wow.
So then her mother taught her daughters that, and then
That's all
she
she
said she was the baby, and she said that's all we knew. But then she said something wasn't right. She sunk into a deep depression because of that, and then she said she was going to change it.
Right.
And so now she taught her daughters the best way to get money is to use your mind.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so you see
when you
how-
know better, you do better.
That's right. So you can see how generationally this thing was passed on. And
Yes.
I mean, grandma taught it, mama taught it, all your aunts, your sisters, everybody did it. But
And you'll
one
be
person.
surprised. You'll be surprised. You mentioned the word fear. How fear manifests itself in so many different ways, and depression is one of the primary ways that it
Yes.
will. When I was born, I did not live with my biological mother. My grandmother raised me. My mother was as my sister, and then my mother had 2 children, but they were with my mom. I always wanted to be, my sister and brother always thought I had the better life, but I always wanted to be with my mother. I always had the fear of abandonment.
Right.
So all through my life, even through my adult ages, and I'm being very transparent here, that's scary,
that's
but
good.
all through my life, I based my decisions upon fear. And when I look back on my life, if I had the strength to make different decisions, if I had acknowledged it or had mentors who, and that's another whole
Yes, it is.
thing.
That's
People to be
important.
honest with you.
That's right.
Honesty is everything.
Transparent, it
To
is.
say you have a problem, then the decisions that I made would have been different, and my life would have been totally different from what it is. 1 or 2 poor decisions based on fear or depression can change the entire trajectory of your life.
Yes, it can.
What do you think about
Yes, it
that?
can. And even with you, there are things that you've gleaned from your grandmother. Your footsteps are ordered by God.
Ordered by God.
Why you weren't with your mom, we don't know, but God is aware of it. It didn't take him by surprise.
Yes.
And so there are things that you were able to glean from your grandmother, maybe be protected from, and that's why he placed you where you are. And so that's why we have to trust him
Trust
with
God.
all our hearts, lean not to our own understanding. In all
That's a
our
good
ways,
word.
acknowledge him. He promised to direct our path.
That's a good
And we
word.
have to trust him.
We
and
have
that's
to.
what it's all about. So
Trust
yes,
God.
that's
Amen.
important.
Amen. I want you to share your testimony. It's powerful. Where were you when you decided, that when you realized, I should use that word, that you were suffering from depression, and then ministry is awesome. God is an awesome God.
Yes,
Out of
He
our
is.
pain comes our passion, comes our ministry. That's what it's all about. But give us that testimony.
Sure. Many years ago, like back in 1990, I was pregnant. I lost triplets. I lost triplets at different times in the pregnancy.
My God.
So, I lost the first one, didn't know I was pregnant. Then went to the hospital and they said, okay, you still have one here, so you must have had twins. And you lost one, so, get on bed rest. And I was having some terrible pain. And so I say, something's not right. They say, if you clot, if you pass it, come back to the hospital. I clotted, passed it. They say, okay, the baby is gone. We're going to do DNC. You know, I found out that when they did it, they had to do emergency surgery. I had a third baby in my fallopian tube and lost that. So I lost 4 babies in 7 months because I got pregnant. They told me, wait 6 months, got pregnant again, miscarried that baby. And, you know, like I say, well-meaning family and friends who I know love me and were there for me, but they're like, well, you know, hey, it happens. This is life. And I was just spiraling downward. I was in a dark place. I just could not understand why this happened to me. You know, and I did not know I was preparing for ministry. You know, what the enemy meant for bad, God used it for my good and for his glory. And so during that time, I had to seek him. You know, my husband had gotten saved, and I'm like, Lord, I don't know what it is, but I need you. And I mean, he touched my life from there, but I had to walk it out. It was not miraculous. So, you know, guys, don't be afraid of the journey. It's a process. It's a process. Everything will not happen instantaneously. So you have to walk it out, and he will give you everything you need. Trust me, everything you need to have victory in your life is already placed inside of you. I mean, think about this. When you were born as a baby, you know, God didn't have to say, okay, you're 13 now, so now I have to give you boobs, or I have to allow your body to develop. It was already in you.
It was there.
And it knew when to come forth. And so, you know, that's the way it is with the gifts and talent. We all have a purpose and a plan. And so he was preparing me at that time. And so, you know, I got delivered because now I had to learn how to do it. And the way he did it was, I said, God, I had never read the Bible before. I grew up Catholic. We had the little missalettes at that time. And I said, did I do something so horrible? Why?
Yes, why?
And he led me to the parable of the man that was born blind. And if you remember, the disciples said, did you know? Right. Why did this happen? Was it something that you knew he was going to do in his lifetime? Was it something that his parents did? And Jesus said, no, to show my awesomeness,
glory.
the glory, right, the greatness of my power upon his life.
My goodness.
And from that point on, they gave me something to do. God put it in my heart to do something. And when I walked that out, that time I was instantly delivered. The pain was pulled away. The room lit up, you know, and I knew then from then on I was going to help other people do the same thing. And so I have been on fire for helping people to win the battle in their minds, to be determined that not on my watch. Nobody is going out in depression.
You are on fire. And that, you know, how important is it? This is so good. This is so good. And I pray as we prayed before this show started, that the right people will connect to this and that they will be lifted. That's what we're praying for today. How important is it that we are transparent, even because depression and mental illness has been such a taboo in the past, not as much now. How important is it that we pour our testimony, that we be open to others, that we see who are going through the same thing. We know that you have your program, which we're going to talk about after the next break. But for those who are believers and who are watching our show, how important is it that we can maybe change or alter someone else's decision or help to bring them out of the state of depression by sharing our testimonies?
It is so important. The words say you're set free by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of your testimony. Most of the times, the things that you go through are not for you, but they are to help other people. And so when you withhold that, you are withholding the power that someone else could be set free from, that someone else could be delivered from. I've had so many people say, you're not ashamed to say you suffer with depression? No, indeed.
Not anymore.
This is part of my journey. This is the process. I have seen so many people be free from what God has done in and through me. And it's not about me. It is about what he's called me to do. It's about the purpose and the plan he's had for my life. I won't be quiet. I'm not ashamed. I will tell you.
The kingdom has come.
Yes, it has. And you know, God is no respecter of persons. So if he did it for me, he will certainly do it for you.
Do the same thing.
Yes,
for
and
you.
then to have somebody to know that I could empathize.
Yes.
You know, I can understand. I know the tears.
that's
I
what
know the
Jesus
dark
said.
moments. I know the pain. I know even talk about suicide. You know, I never was suicidal to the point where I tried, but the thoughts came.
Yes.
You know, I know about those
Yes.
things, and I thank God for the strength and for the grace. And now I see why the fight was so hard, because he knew that I was going to come and I was not going to be ashamed,
gonna
and I'm
turn
not going
things
to be
around.
quiet. That's
Amen.
right. And I'm going to
Amen.
be used. I'm a vessel.
Awesome. We're going to break. But we'll be back after the break with Karen Stampley. How wonderful. Awesome. Awesome.
What's up, readers and shapers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to the most important readers. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Linda Lewis with Lewis Armstrong Family Services here live at New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Come join us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Peel from Movement Academy. Did you know that according to the Center for Disease and Control, nearly 1/3 of Louisiana residents over the age of 50 are classified as obese and have had no leisure time physical activity in the past month? Additionally, 47% of people over the age of 55 have experienced increased confusion or memory loss that interferes with social interaction or household chores. These statistics are strongly related, but there is a brighter side to this gloomy outlook. New studies are out that confirm physical exercise can improve cognitive functioning and slow down the onset of dementia. Movement Academy has developed an online exercise program that can help you with weight management, prevent injuries from losing your balance, and teach complex movements to improve your cognitive functioning. Whether in the privacy of your own home or in a group with friends, Movement Academy can improve the quality of your life for only a few cents a day. Go to www.movementacademy.net and sign up for your brighter side of life right now.
This is Cinder, and we're back at the second half with Mrs. Karen Stampley. Just the most substantive and wonderful conversation this morning, beneficial to all who listen. Again, share, post and share this conversation. Go to Boomers Lifestyle on Facebook. Also, you can reach us after the show on YouTube at Boomers Lifestyle Network and the New Orleans Talk Network. Karen, while we were off air, we were talking a little bit, and we're going to talk about your program, E.Y.E.A.M. But we can't talk about this enough, about how when we are suffering from mental illness issues and depression, how we are not only the ones ourselves who are affected, our community, our homes, our families are affected by this illness. What are some of the steps that we can take to ensure that that it stops, first of all, but that we can become healthy, whereas our children who are observing us, living in that environment of depression, are not affected.
Right. That's why it's imperative for us to be real. To admit if we have an issue. We don't have a problem with saying my stomach hurts. We don't have a problem with saying I have a headache. But then when it comes to the sadness, the gloominess, even if you don't understand what it is, talk to someone, call. That's why we're there. That's why E.Y.E.A.M is there.
Okay.
It's very important, and monitor your children, especially your teens. The teen suicide rate is so high, and a
Yes.
lot of times it's because of depression.
Absolutely.
They're hopeless. They're discouraged. And so
Yes.
parents, we have to be aware. We have to watch our children, watch our grandchildren. If you see things, you can see them pulling away. You can see them being sad. If they're talking about those things, we need to address it.
Right.
Watch how you speak into their lives. But in order to help your children, you have to be helped. You have to
Correct.
be healed and made whole.
Healthy
So
and
that's
whole.
why it's so important to get the help, because it affects our children. It affects our families. It affects coworkers.
Yes.
Sometimes you never know what someone is going through. Sometimes I'm with my kids and, I'll say, what's going on with this young lady? I could see something, and it's a spirit. I can see it because I've been there. I can
Right.
look into
You
the eyes a
recognize.
lot of times, and I don't care. It's like, you can put on a mask, but I can see through that mask a lot
Absolutely.
of times.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's why it is so great to just be real. Do not be ashamed. There is hope. There is help.
All right. Awesome. And you mentioned childhood depression, and that's one of the things that we, do not acknowledge. Sometimes behaviors, now we're putting children on, medications, on Ritalins, and we're not speaking against, medication. God gives wisdom and he gives us doctors. However, it is important to recognize that perhaps something is going on in the home, something is going on with that child. And so does your program address that for children?
We address it for teens and
Okay.
up, yes. And it
Okay.
depends. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical psychologist or anything. So I think that you should get checked out and,
Okay.
get the help that you need. But I can teach you tools. Yes, give you the tools that it would take to change your mind, to do those things. If it's something going on in your body, you do need the help of a doctor, and we're not
Right.
talking against that.
Correct. Absolutely. I am.
Yes.
I like that. How did that come about? And talk about, just take time and talk about your program and all the different facets of it, how we can access it, the evidence that, it's an evidence-based program. I know that it is. Talk about that.
I was born decades ago. Like I said, when I was going through, I did not know that I was really my first client, my first student. But I.E.A.M is an acronym. It's E.Y.E.A.M. Elevate your expectations, achieve manifestations. I was depressed for so long because I didn't expect to win. I didn't expect to overcome it. I didn't think that it was possible.
Yes.
And you cannot go above your own expectations. You will never elevate above your own expectations. So I had to change my expectations.
Yes.
And so God even gave me the logo, and the logo is an eye with a person flowing out of it, because now it's like they're floating because they're free from all the
beginning
weight,
to
all the
see.
bondages. They're beginning to see and be free. And so that's where I.E.A.M came about, and it's an empowerment program.
Okay.
And so I was the first client I walked through. It's based on the 5 steps of faith, like I said, because a lot of times people feel that they have faith and, they're missing a component, a very important component. I was as well. I believed for you. I believed for everybody else, but I did not believe for me.
Yourself, yes.
And see, that was a self-worth issue.
Yes.
That was a self-esteem issue. And so there were things that I had to work through. And so that's how I.E.A.M came about. And so, we help people win the battle in their minds. That's what we do. We have a program. We have therapists and coaches that we do a free assessment, a complimentary assessment. First of all, everything is confidential. You never have to worry
very
about
important.
anything. Yes, it is so important. So you don't have to be ashamed or afraid, because it will only stay with us and our team. And then, you have a complimentary assessment, and we'll decide, if we can help you, and we need your participation. It's not magic.
Okay.
You know, it's something that you have
You
to
have to
be
do the
willing.
work.
Yes, you have to do the work. We will guide you. We will lead you. We will encourage you. We will empower you with the necessary tools to break the lifelong cycles of defeat. People have lifelong cycles of
Yes.
defeat a lot of
Ongoing.
time. Yes, and so, and you know, we pray with you, and then, you know, we give you what's needed to get the divine revelation so that you can go from victory to victory. It does not mean that you will never have issues. There are going to be trials and tribulations, but when you know how to manage it.
Okay.
You know, so we're like your GPS system,
Right.
you know. We will navigate you through and help you
Through
to
the
navigate,
process.
yes, through the process. And then, you know, take you from victory to victory to teach you how to continue on that path, not to go back to the wrong thought process, you know, to
Now,
renew your mind.
is this is there follow-up to your program? Is it like so many weeks, or is it, how does that work?
Well, what it is, that's what we do on the complimentary assessment. We determine based on where you are. We locate you. Sometimes, see, people get depressed a lot of times because they became stuck somewhere in life.
Yes.
It could have been something that's happened that's traumatic, some situation, something that it could have stemmed from childhood.
Yes.
And you know, I mean, rape, incest, molestation, rejection, and divorce, just so many things that happen. So in that assessment, we talk about some things, and then we'll determine from the assessment how long your
the
program should
is.
be.
Okay.
Yes.
And then even after one completes the program, they can come back to you for counseling and follow up.
Yes.
Do you, maintenance?
Yes, that's what
We
I was
would
about
call-
to say. We have a maintenance program where
maintenance
you're
program.
our victory coaches. And so that's what we do. We help you not only to keep the victory, but go from victory to victory to victory. So you can get on the maintenance. Some people really need that. They need the accountability. They need the encouragement. You know, sometimes they don't have it in their homes or in their
Yes.
jobs. And so they just, we just may not talk as often.
Okay.
We will determine what you need for maintenance, and then you're always free. If something else comes up and it happens and you need to go through again, then we will walk you through the program again.
Wonderful.
And we have seminars,
Okay,
we
yeah,
have-
let's talk about that.
Yes.
The seminars, and do you do speaking engagements?
I
Because you
also
have
do.
so much to share.
I do. I've done women's conferences where I've done seminars, I've done workshops, I've done marriage conferences, I've done women empowerment sessions. So yes, I have.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. I am. We're going to go to our last break, and when we come back, we're going to begin to wrap up, but we're going to just give you the mic because we want to hear about those 5 steps again. I want to make sure that we have those embedded into our spirits and our minds so that we can recognize, the 5 steps that we need to be on alert for that will move us into having positive mental health. We'll be back in a moment with Mrs. Karen Stampley from the E.Y.E.A.M organization. Save the date. The 2017 Boomers Family Expo and Health Fair promises to deliver. There will be food, boomer fun, and vendors galore, and an entertainment stage that will rock with your favorites from the 60s and 70s. Come one, come all. Boomers, bring your seniors and your grads to the 2017 Boomers Family Expo, Saturday, October 28th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Millard Park Center in Gretna. For more information, visit 2017boomersfamilyexpo.com.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hi, I'm Matt Peel from Movement Academy. Did you know that according to the Center for Disease and Control, nearly 1/3 of Louisiana residents over the age of 50 are classified as obese and have had no leisure time physical activity in the past month? Additionally, 47% of people over the age of 55 have experienced increased confusion or memory loss that interferes with social interaction or household chores. These statistics are strongly related, but there is a brighter side to this gloomy outlook. New studies are out that confirm physical exercise can improve cognitive functioning and slow down the onset of dementia. Movement Academy has developed an online exercise program that can help you with weight management, prevent injuries from losing your balance, and teach complex movements to improve your cognitive functioning. Whether in the privacy of your own home or in a group with friends, Movement Academy can improve the quality of your life for only a few cents a day. Go to www.movementacademy.net and sign up for your brighter side of life right now.
I'm Sinder again. We're back at the second half. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. Myself and my wonderful co-host, Karen Stampley. Off air, we were talking about the power of suggestion and how we are tempted by the power of suggestion. Talk about that, Karen.
That's what defeated me for a long time. Just because the thoughts come to you, it may say, well, you're not going to accomplish that. Don't you know you don't have a college degree? Or don't you know that you're not smart enough? And then when we take those thoughts in, now those are suggestions, but when we meditate on those, when we give them life, yes,
they come to life.
They do. They definitely come to life. Whatever you focus on, good or bad, expands.
My goodness.
Good or bad. So that's why those suggestions, the Bible say, cast down every thought and every high thing that exalt itself against the knowledge of God.
Yes.
So, you have to compare that with the word of God. Is this what God says about me? Yes, I may not have the degree, but God has shaped and molded me. He has prepared me. He has anointed me.
Yes.
That anointing removes every burden and destroys every yoke. It can surpass all of the degrees in the world. You know. So as long as and I'm not knocking degrees, but you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I say suggestions will come. It knows, the enemy knows, even our own thought life know where we are weak at. And so sometimes we will meditate, you don't look good enough, you're not small enough, your hair is not pretty enough, you're not fair, just so many things. And then you'll begin to meditate on it. And many times, before I even realize it, you start spiraling.
Yes.
Many times during that time. That's why I am cautious about what I watch. I am cautious about what I listen to.
Yes.
I'm not
Who I talk
fanatical.
to.
I'm sorry?
I said who I talk to.
Yes, who I
Yes,
talk to, who
absolutely.
I surround myself with,
Absolutely.
who I share my dreams with, my
Absolutely.
hopes with. You
Yes.
have to be mindful. And so that's why I say suggestions, just because they come, does not mean that you have to meditate on it, that you have to accept it as your truth.
Correct.
And that's
Awesome,
what's
awesome.
important. You have to recognize it.
We have to recognize it, and we have to, well, again, as you've stated several times, we have to engage and plan in it. We plan if we're going on vacation, we plan for vacation, we plan for college. We have to plan for a successful life.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we see people who are experiencing lives that we perceive to be successful, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but they have planned and they've been diligent and consistent over it. And that is just so important that we, the Holy Spirit gave me that this morning, is that we see the end from the beginning.
Yes.
We see what we want the end to be, and that will help us to stay focused on where we are, the now. A couple of weeks ago, Bishop Lester Love was here, and he was speaking about his wife, Fran, and her journey with breast cancer, and how she put a mantra in place for her life, that I'm successful and that I'm well. And she said this over and over and over and over and over and over again until it manifested in her life. And I think that, do you agree that in our own lives, we all have different stories and we come from different places and spaces, but we know what operates in our family lines. We know our downfalls. People can look at me and they often say, you have a husband, family, you've got it going on.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Yes,
what
right.
goes on.
That's right.
You
You
know,
don't know.
but I'm here, you know. And so what I have to do is put myself, like Pastor Fran, put my own mantra in line that I repeat to myself over and over and over again. And when the thoughts would come, that I repeat them over and over and over again. And that's what gets me from point A to point
That's
Z.
right.
What do you think about that?
That's important. One of my favorite ones is you're one decision away from your next victory.
My goodness.
But you have to make a decision.
Make a
and then you have to
decision.
act on that decision. It's
Yes.
just not enough to say, I make a decision. You brought up travel. It's not enough to say, yes, I'm going to go to Disney World, for example. You have to make plans.
Yes.
I have to act on
Yes.
that, or I'll never get to Disney
Won't get
World.
there.
Right.
Yes.
So you're one decision away, you know, because I acted on my healing and my wholeness and worked the process. I
Yeah.
made that decision. That's the best decision I've made in my life. You know, because of that, that curse is broken in my family.
Absolutely.
That thing will never rise again.
Won't rise
you know,
again.
it will not.
No,
So that's
because it's His
important.
will that we prosper,
Yes.
and we be in health, even as our soul, our mind,
Yes.
our being prospers.
Yes.
But it's a process,
It is
and
a
oh, what joy it is when we get to a point that we recognize that we're never defeated. You know, we've never truly defeated it. We're always working. We're always coming into the knowledge of the fruition of that thing coming to pass. But oh, what joy it is when we learn the secret and learn how that first of all, acknowledge that we have it and say we won't go back. I'm not going back there anymore. I might go somewhere, but I'm not going back to that dark
That's
place
right.
again,
That's
because
right.
I'm going to recognize it when it's rising up, and I'm going to call it by its name and put it in its place.
That's right.
Amen.
And don't be afraid to even ask for help. You know,
Yes.
the Bible says, let the strong bear the infirmity of the weak. And that's why sometimes you ask for help with somebody who's capable of helping
Correct.
you, though. You don't ask for help for somebody that's going to pull you back down, because there are crabs who never want to see us
Absolutely.
rise above.
Correct.
But you know that person, that prayer partner, you go to them and say, listen, I'm struggling right now. That is okay. Don't be ashamed to say,
Absolutely.
I'm struggling right now. Can you pray for me?
Yes, strengthen thy brother.
Yes.
Yes, amen.
Exactly.
We have a few moments left. This has just been so wonderful, so enjoyable, beneficial to even me. And I know to you, because off
Yes.
air we're rejoicing together. I want you to take the rest of the show. We have about 3 minutes left, and talk about E.Y.E.A.M, and just pour your heart out and share with our audience about your mission and your ministry.
Okay. I want everybody to know that I am here for you, that there is hope. It is not over. You know, there's someone here who has walked the same walk that you're walking now, that you have been through, and you can not only be healed but made whole. You could live again, you could breathe again, you could love
Yes.
again. You know, we give you the necessary tools that you need to be strengthened, encouraged, to be able to renew your mind, to recognize when those same behaviors, those negative thought patterns may come along. You will recognize it, and you will learn. You will get stronger and stronger and stronger, just like in weightlifting. You know, you can't start off at 300 pounds, but just a little at a time. You know, it may be a 5-pound barbell or something, you know, dumbbell. You start off, and then you will grow stronger, and you will have a team of people that's encouraging you, that's leading and guiding you. You know, we will teach you. We will locate you where you are. Sometimes you don't know where you are yourself. We will help you. You know, we will locate you. We will devise a plan that's specifically for you. It will be customized for where you are right now and where you're going. And you're going to end up victorious if you follow the plan, if you show up, if you be present, if you cooperate. You know, so we have it. She told me talk about the 5 steps of faith. Believe that God is who he is, and that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. If he spoke it, he's going to do it. It shall come to pass. Perceive it. You have to see yourself doing it, overcoming it, wearing it, driving it, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. You're going to paint it on the canvas of your imagination. We're going to help you do that. Conceive is the plan. It's the plan of action. You know, Habakkuk say, write the plan, write the vision and make it plain so those who read it may run with it. You will have the the vision written down. You will know where you're going. You will have your map. And then to achieve is to put feet to it. We will teach you how to walk it out. We will help you to walk it out. You know, you will be built up in your inner man. You know, we say God build them up in their inner man by their spirit. So you will know how to do this. You will have determination that to never give up, to never cave in, to never quit. You will have people before you who have done this before, you know, who have been successful in doing this. So you will know you're not alone. You will be your cheerleaders. You know, we will be your coaches. We will guide you through it. And the last thing is to receive. You know, you shall, God say his word cannot and shall not return to him void, but it has to do what he sent it out there to do. Yes, it has to. So it's not about me. I'm a vessel. I'm just doing what he has called me to do and willing to be used. So we will see you through. You can go to my website at www.IamVictory, E.Y.E.A.M victory.com. You know, you can look me up on Facebook. I Am Empowerment Entity. You know, you can call me. The number is on the website and set an appointment. It's a complimentary appointment. We can talk about it. Then you can get a feel for me and our coaches and what we do. And then, you know, if it's a match, we can go from there. And so, you know, this is a new day for you. This is the day the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it.
Oh,
You're
my
one
goodness.
decision away from your next victory.
From
So,
mental fitness.
yes,
Amen.
from mental fitness.
Thank you. I'm so happy I met you. Oh, you're so awesome. And to our audience, we thank you for joining us again this week at the second half. Once again, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Find someone, love them, strengthen them with the love of Jesus. And we have a lot that's going to be going on in October for our boomers and beyonds and our audience as we ask you the question every week, what are you going to do with your second half? 50 down and 50 to go. We love you dearly. Thank you for joining us.
I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden, living my life like it's 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 golden.